same-sex couples should be able to get married.
Well, that was a comment that certainly got the nation talking this week here. But what was supposed to be a political risk may actually be a political winner for Obama. Now, I know it's really early here, but at least the first signs say it could be happening. Now, since it's surprisingly timed comments this week, and I think it's because Biden forced him to say it, the campaign dollars they have been pouring in. In just one day at a fundraiser at George Clooney's home, the campaign raked in about $15 million. You were there, weren't you, Dominic? Yeah, exactly. And rather than downplay his newsstands, President, he's proclaiming it loudly and proudly, seemingly at every opportunity. It is the first thing you see when you go to the campaign website. He's also come out with a new ad slamming Romney for his opposition to same-sex marriage. Meanwhile, you go to the GOP side, and at least I thought you were going to hear press conference after press conference denouncing the president, but the reaction's been relatively muted.
But my view is that marriage itself is a relationship between a man and a woman, and that's my own preference. This is a very tender and sensitive topic.
If two people of the same gender want to live together, want to have a loving relationship, and even want to adopt a child in my state, individuals of the same sex were able to adopt children. In my view, that's something which people have the right to do.
I believe that marriage is the union of one man and one woman, and the president and the Democrats can talk about all this all they want. But the fact is, the American people are focused on our economy, and they're asking the question, where are the jobs?
Well, notice there, they are not taking the bait, not pouncing on the issue. Why? Well, let's get into that. And joining us on set, Jessica Proud, Republican strategist and Vice President at NLO Strategies, along with Dom and Andrew. And Jessica, let me ask you, first of all, were you surprised? Obviously, the White House was cautious on this issue. They didn't see how this thing was going to play out. We looked at all the metrics and the polling. Nobody really seemed to have a good handle on it. But in the same week that North Carolina had a constitutional amendment banning, in effect, same-sex marriages, the president not only says it but doubles down, and the GOP doesn't really seem to be on the offensive. Are you surprised this week has played out the way it has?
No, I mean, I think the fact that the president didn't come out with his comments ahead of North Carolina's vote just shows how much he politicized the issue. I don't think that this is going to be have a major impact in the elections. People are not concerned about this issue generally. They care about the economy, they care about jobs. But I do think it shows that the president has forced to energize his base because the polls show that he's in trouble. So will it help him raise some money? Yes. But at the end of the day, voters are not going into the polls to vote on gay marriage.
He could have picked a lot of other issues this week after he did the Robin Roberts interview, though, to bang the drum, and he chose to keep coming back to this. He's raising money hand over fist. I think you're right. He needed to energize the base, especially the youth. It seems to be doing the trick. And Axelrod's not a dummy. If they keep coming back to this, they must think that there is votes to be had doing this. If you were them, would you do the same thing? I
wouldn't. I think you saw that they started out with this whole war on women, which was totally phony and created by the Democrats and the left, and that seemed to die down a little bit, so they needed another issue to distract from their record on the economy and demagogue Republicans on. So just like it happened with the war on women, I don't think that this is going to carry out through November. There are serious issues that this country is facing right now, and they have to cough up to that.
We talked about it last week, guys, when you got the kind of endorsements of Romney from both Gingrich and then also Santorum. It took Santorum to the 13th paragraph before he even said it. My point is, these guys were social conservatives, okay? And they were banging the drum at every opportunity. Romney had to go through a primary, had to move more and more right here to convince the base that he was really one of them. Forget what's a winning or a losing strategy for the general for them. Is he going to be forced here? From other folks, surrogates, et cetera, is going to keep making him say, you're with me on this, right? You're just crying what the president's doing. He's trashing the institution of marriage. Is he going to be forced to go more right than he wants to?
I don't think so at all. I mean, I thought he handled this issue with great sensitivity. He even went as far as saying that he supports gay couples' rights to adopt. So I don't think you've seen any shift from him. And, you know, we've heard 1,000 times that he's a moderate, and that was the big criticism of him in the Republican primary. But that label stuck. I don't think it's going to change now. And now with the general election strategy, I don't see a need to move to the right.
You know, Dom, me at least, I thought we disagreed about was this planned or not You obviously the bigger cynic as usual. But to me, I really thought he had to do the interview. Biden opened his mouth on Sunday, and now he's got to say it. But they didn't plan on this. They didn't want to do this, I don't think. But it seems that once they did it, they said, geez, we're getting a lot of love out of this thing, and not just from the gay community here, a lot of folks. But
so far.
Were you surprised how this has played out this week? I, for one.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, aren't you so smart?
It was a guarantee that once the president came out supporting gay marriage, that the dollars were going to flood in from the gay community. You mentioned the $15 million, I believe, from George Clooney. Well, let's talk about the fact that he pulled in $1 million online within the first 24 hours once he announced his position. Romney is on the wrong side of the sentiment of the American public on this issue. That's why he's not saying anything. He wants this to go away. He wants conservative Democrats to do his fighting, and the independents to do his fighting for him on this particular issue. So it's going to be very interesting. And the bottom line is, on Election Day, conservative Democrats that are already on the fence about Obama, might they go against him because of the issue of gay marriage?
In swing states, you think it's going to help or hurt at the end of the day, Andrew?
I don't think there's any way to know at this point. I really don't, because you look at the gains that could come from portions of, let's say, in North Carolina versus the losses that you're going to have in portions of North Carolina. But I give him credit for owning it once he made the call. And I think that's what this week might have been about, perhaps more than trying to milk every dollar or every percentage of polling.